Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your best buddy Basil. We are here for some CanaryCry Clubhouse. We're doing it. What a wonderful time we get to spend together. Not talking about the news. I heard from a lot of Canarians, sometimes longtime Canarians, and this has maybe been going on for a few months now. And they'll usually do something like apologize. I'm sorry I haven't been catching the show lately. We've even had some call in to this show and say the same thing. Just just not interested in the news, not interested in getting wrapped up in what's going on in the world. And God bless me. You've heard me before, and I'll say it again. I'm entirely supportive of that decision. In fact, I'm so supportive that I started this show long before this became an issue. So that's why we're here, and I hope that some Canarians, even though if they start tuning out of the news, not catching news talk, that they come hang out with us here. And I hope you call in, because I want to talk to them. I think there's a bunch of people who could benefit from that conversation. Oop, I got to turn off this looping. Here's what I'm going to do. There we go. I caught it in time. But we're going to get started here. Krillin is here. What's up, Krillin, over on YouTube? Marty, Nasser K, Sir Darren here into YouTube. Zigzag, Germ, over on Rumble. What's going on, everybody? Germ says, hi, Canary fam. I got the text, thankfully, and was a bit early. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. The sort of pattern, there's maybe not a pattern, there's a rhythm when getting this show started. And anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about there, but the rhythm was a little different today. So that's all I have to say about that. I guess we're going to get the show started in a second. We have some people sending in text messages to the CanaryCry text message alert system. Truth is, if you're here this early in the show, you're probably already on the text message alert system. But just in case you're not, I recommend you do. It's super easy. Just text the word canary to 877-740-3226. It's right there on the screen. Just text the word canary to 877-740-3226, and I'll send you a text message before we go live all throughout the week. But the fun part is you can text us back at that number. And we got people texting in right now. I want to read some of their texts, but I'm going to do it during the official show. We're going to start the show officially. Let's see here. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. All right, here we go. You know how it works. Those who are early, you know how this works. If you're new to being early, here's how it works. I'm going to put this art back up here. I'm going to play a little jingle, which will be the signal for Gons to start the podcast version of the show. And then we'll go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Called it. We got a caller. On the line here.
What's going on, everybody? Here I am again. It's your best buddy Basil, and you are here again for CanaryCry Clubhouse. That's right, a very special time throughout the week where we as a community can just take a breath, do some fellowship, talk to each other, call in, talk to me. Let's see what's going on in the body. And we can just say hooey to all the headlines and the crazy news. I will say this before we get started, for those of you who have been tuning into CCNT and have been paying attention to world events, you will know this. And for those of you who have not been tuning in, it is my pleasure to tell you this. The best worst possible scenario keeps happening, okay? The worst case scenario keeps not happening. I told you the stakes were going to get higher. The frantic messaging meant to steal your energy and your time in your life and keep you locked in on things you can't control. They keep cranking it up. Every day is the worst possible situation, and every day Every new day brings another day that Basil was right. Okay? Everything's going to be fine. And I'm going to keep reminding you of this. Everything's going to be fine. That's not to say that bad things won't happen. Of course, this is reality. Okay? Bad things happen. It's just built into this fallen world. Okay? But there's a difference between the reality of bad things happening and the imaginary world that for decades and decades, the magicians of our global messaging system, the spellcasters of social engineering and social control, they are continuing to do their very best to convince you that the worst possible scenario is on its way. They've been doing it for a long time. They've ramped it up. Of course, we all lived through all sorts of worst case scenario. I mean, in case you forgot, this was tripping me out yesterday. I think it was last night. I was trying to fall asleep and I was thinking about COVID and I was thinking about, you know, early COVID when we started doing news talk the way that we are doing news talk and it's just a different world, right? And it still feels like it was just yesterday. It trips me out, man. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. It feels closer than 6 years. It's tripping me out because as far as news talk goes, of course, there's CanaryCry Radio, our interview show. There's CanaryCry News Talk, that is the news talk show. And of course, CanaryCry Radio started in 2012. 4 years later, 2016, is when News Talk started. 4 years later is when COVID happened. And now 6 years later is right now. So it is further from COVID than News Talk was to radio or even COVID was to News Talk. That might not mean, I guess these are my own sort of signposts along the way. It's sort of my own measurements of time. But for Canarians who've been around for a while, many of you have been around for the full 14 years now. So like to think about that timeline is crazy because it honestly feels like News Talk in its current form, been doing it forever. However, it feels like COVID was just yesterday. And this truncating of time, I don't think this sort of truncating of the experience of time, where 6 years feels like maybe the experience of maybe 3, let's call it cut in half, right? And I think that's on purpose. I mean, I think that's obviously, this is not some genius idea that I had. I think it's obvious to all of us that the way that we're perceiving time is directly related to the amount of information that we come in contact with every day. It used to be you would go your whole life and read the equivalent of like 10 articles. I'm talking like olden days, 1800s, right? You'd go your entire life and you'd read, if you were a prolific reader, you would read, well, that's not true. I guess people read full books. Depends who you are. But for most of us here in the class of people that we are, and we're maybe not necessarily like scholars for the king or scribes or monks copying the Bible all day. For most regular people, we come in contact with more information, and that information comes in different forms, right? Could be reading, could be podcasts, could be movies, could be whatever. We come in contact with more of that in a day than previous people did in their entire lifetimes. And I sometimes get caught in I don't know what to call it, maybe the mental cycle. Maybe it's like a cycle or a sort of a circular thought pattern of like, we think that people in the 1800s, 1700s, whatever, 800s were like stupider than us. This is kind of like, what we see in movies, what we see in TV shows. If they're doing a TV show for about the medieval times or whatever, and like the peasants are like stupid, right? They don't know anything. And while they didn't have the same amount of information, their brains still worked in the same way. The way you feel, the way it feels to be in your body, the way it feels for you to interact, even if, like me, you're not the smartest person in the world by like IQ tests or whatever, there's a logic to being a human and being conscious. There's a logos, maybe even, where you pretty well understand, you know, cause and effect. You are able to perceive things. You're able to think about things as they happen. All that basic stuff, just you sitting in a room. People from 1,000 years ago, they were exactly the same. It was the exact same experience of being conscious. They weren't necessarily dumber. Maybe they knew less facts because there were less facts. I mean, technically, and they wouldn't come in contact with facts as often. But it's like in video games. Here, I'll give this to my video game homies, and hopefully I can communicate this to non-video game people. So when you're playing a video game, like a role-playing game where you're like a ninja or you're whatever, in many games, there are a collection of stats, and those stats determine how good your guy is in the game. And the traditional, there's like a set that kind of appear in all games. Now, all games will have their different systems, but like there's this basic traditional, like stereotypical set of stats. And it's like strength, constitution, dexterity, wisdom, intelligence, charisma. Okay. Trying to make this as simple as possible. Video game people, you'll understand. Maybe tabletop people, you'll get it too. But if you don't know what I'm hearing, if you don't already know what I'm talking about, I'll try to make it simple. So they try to like break down what a person is in these stats, right? So you got strength, constitution. So strength, obviously, like the physical strength. Constitution is like how healthy you are. Dexterity is like how fast you are. Intelligence is like how many facts you know. And wisdom is like your inherent, I don't even know what to call it, besides wisdom, right? They separate out intelligence and wisdom in almost every single game. Then the last one is charisma. And it's funny because immediately, I think every gamer has had this moment where you're like, well, what the heck is the difference between intelligence and wisdom? And generally, it's that very simple explanation. Intelligence is like you've studied and you know a lot of facts and you can recite whatever equations or poems or something like that. But wisdom is this like inherent practical knowledge. Wow, I've really gone off on a tangent here. But let me pull it all back because I was talking about, we like to think we're so much smarter than people in the past. But the fact is, the experience of being a human has been, I would say, probably the same since the garden. And if you doubt that, you can just read ancient scriptures, ancient documents, ancient history. They were very smart. Whoever's writing that, I mean, Pythagorean theorem was, which I don't even really know or understand, was made by guys who wore robes and like did, weird witchcraft stuff or something, so I believe we are at basically the same capabilities mentally of human beings that have ever existed since the garden, which is an important thing to remember when you're reading the scriptures, right? Because it's easy to like disconnect the way we experience life with the experience of the historicity of the people in the Bible. Again, bringing it around, don't worry. But today, we cram an enormous amount of intelligence, of information into our brains on a daily basis. Now, in that video game system, in almost every game that does this, you have a set amount of points that you can distribute throughout those stats, you know? So let's say you have 30 points, you put 10 in strength, you put 5 in constitution, you put 5 in the rest of them, right? Because you want to be strong and all the rest of the stuff, whatever. If being a human is at all being represented in video games in a even slightly practical way, we are filling all of our stat points in intelligence. Maybe not even on purpose. Like the amount of facts that are filling the amount of energy that just goes to cramming our brain with facts every single day, even if we don't know we're doing it. You know, it's one thing to purposefully stuff your brain with facts while you're like studying in college. But it's a totally different thing to have the facts sort of force fed into your brain, even if you're not looking for it, right? Through advertisements, driving down the road, billboards, radio commercials, podcast, whatever it is. Oftentimes, it is like against our will, and facts are getting stuffed in our brain. And it's very useful. It's very helpful for those who make it their business to sort of control a population, or to put it nicely, you know, socially engineer a population. In fact, there's some crazy conspiracy theorists out there that would tell you about the Western schooling system and how it was created by the Rothschilds, stolen from the Persian slave system, where you keep the slave children busy all day, teaching them useless facts or facts they'll never use, to keep them busy and stuff their mind with stuff that makes sure that they won't get any funny ideas and think that they can, you know, whatever, get out of their situation. Any public school, homeschool moms out there, you know what I'm talking about. Homeschool moms, stand up. You get it. Homeschool your kids, folks. And I think what comes with that is this truncating of our experience of time, where they say the days are long, but the years are short. Now, I'm going to resist for a moment to go down the rabbit hole of like, what is time, man? Time is a flat circle. Although, oftentimes that seems like a pretty good metaphor for what's going on. Oh, you know, that's interesting. Sir Psalm 40 in the private chat makes a point here. I want to read this point. They didn't have to constantly process data. They were probably more intelligent in the past. All people have learned is how to parrot things that were searched before them, and AKA research. Yeah. And, you know, with AI now, yeah, I wonder, this is just an interesting thought. There's a lot of talk and now understanding that with AI, a lot of people are outsourcing a lot of their thinking and their fact holding and their logic to AI to do it for them. And the studies have shown now that those who use AI the most are actually losing their ability to do the thinking that they're asking the AI to do for them. And it's interesting because it harkens back, you know, if you want to get a little esoteric, if you want to get a little occult, if you want to get a little secret mystery schools, this story was told in the story of Thoth, right? Thoth is the Egyptian god. This is very popular in like Freemasonry, very popular in Gnosticism, this sort of thing. There's a story of this Egyptian god Thoth, and this Egyptian god Thoth basically brought the magic, it was considered a form of magic, of the written word to the humans, to Pharaoh. And, it was presented as like, look, now you don't have to, you can write things down and they'll be there forever. And you can write things down and it makes it so, referring to laws. When a law is written down and certified, that's the law. And it holds, you know, um, authority in the land that it's signed. This whole sort of magical process from writing to reality. And Toth brought this to the Pharaoh. I believe it was either the Pharaoh or it was like one of the Pharaoh's, you know, uh, homies, one of his whatever they're called, buddies. One of the Pharaoh's buddies, like scribes or assistants or whatever, made the point of like, oh, this isn't as good. This isn't good. This isn't what you think it is. This is a trick, because the more that man gets used to writing something down, the less that they will be able to remember. And that's one thing that we really have lost an appreciation for, that the ancient people and some modern people are able to do, that really blows everybody's mind. And that is their ability to memorize just enormous amounts of content, which content is a very funny word to use for it, very modern word, because when I say enormous amounts of content, I mean like you can see guys like Muslim guys who have memorized word for word like the entire Quran. And you just like throw them any random, I don't really know what they call them, if they call them verses or whatever, or they can just say it from start to finish. They'll just start speaking and word for word finish the Quran. I don't know how long it takes. I'm sure it's a day or something. And I'm sure that there's people who have done that with the Bible. This was a regular practice. This was sort of seen as the signal of like a scholar or something, that you're able to memorize just enormous amounts of things. I think we've totally A, lost that skill, B, lost that desire for that skill, and C, lost even the need for it. So in the story of Toth, it's kind of seems like Pharaoh's buddy was right. And it's the same story that we're getting now with AI, in that not only is it for those who use it the most or use it for certain types of things, are they losing the ability to do those things with their own brain? But the question, like, anywho, I'm getting way off track, but that's probably messing with our ability to perceive time in, I don't know, I don't even want to say like in a real way, because time is an illusion, babe. Time is an illusion. Who knows what time is? God's outside of time. Someday, hopefully, we'll be outside of time. Who even cares? Maybe it doesn't matter if we can't get a solid grasp on time. For the most part, the experience of time is mostly used to make sure you get to work on time and you do what you got to do. Wow. So there's that. I'm sure this will come up later, okay? That's how this show always works. Whatever random rant the Holy Spirit has me going on in the beginning always becomes important later. I do want to give a shout out to everybody who's on the CanaryCry text message alert system. If you're not on it, you should get on it. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. I'll send you a text before we go live throughout the week, and you can text us back. It's a fun part of it. 856 texted and says, Romans 15:13-14. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope. I myself am satisfied about you, my brothers, that you yourselves are full of goodness, filled with all knowledge and able to instruct one another. Wow, that's beautiful. I like that. I like that for a number of reasons. I'm actually going to take a second. I'm going to pull up that scripture so I can get it in context. Who wrote Romans? Did Paul write Romans? I'm assuming that Paul wrote Romans. I could be wrong. But not only is it an incredible reminder and encouragement and like prayer for the brethren, right? Because this is one brethren speaking to another brethren, one believer to another believer. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing. You know, it's interesting. We'll have a great interview coming out, Lord willing, tomorrow, but it could be next week, with an awesome lady. And we get into a really edifying conversation. But we also get deep into sort of spiritual warfare, sleep paralysis, this kind of stuff, all in the context of what we're seeing in the world today. Um, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit, you may abound in hope. Abounding in hope is the goal of this prayer from one believer to another. I myself am satisfied about you. Now, I love this, and this shows up several times in various epistles, and that's one believer to another saying, I am satisfied about you, my brothers, that you yourself are full of goodness, filled with all knowledge, and able to instruct one another, to be impressed with your fellow believers, and not just to be impressed and be satisfied with the behavior and the development and discipleship of your fellow believers, but to tell them that, to share with our brothers and sisters, hey, you're doing a great job. That encouragement. It's one of the really special things. So I've been a Christian my entire life. And I've been through all the different cycles, all the different experiences, all the ups, all the downs of that. And one thing I always thought was funny, and now I try to do it on purpose, is in my church community and in my church body, it was sort of a habit. Not like it was some sort of ceremonial thing or like thing we're forced to do or some sort of like, I don't know, contrived thing we would do, but to encourage one another, to really speak life into one another, tell each other all the time how we are impressed with one another or how we're encouraged by watching another believer and their faith and their skills. And, especially when you're working in a church and working in the tech department of a church, goodness gracious, anybody who's worked in the tech department of a church knows this. And that's often doesn't matter if it's, you're doing video or you're doing the words on the screen or you're doing the soundboard or something. It can be, when it's not at its best, it can be a pretty high pressure, very like work like situation where if somebody lets you down or the guy on the words is late and he's not moving the words or the sound guy misses a cue or there's feedback and all the tech people are kind of like rolling their eyes at each other, right, at the little mistakes that maybe nobody even noticed, but if you're in the tech department you notice all the mistakes everybody's making back there. And I've been in a couple tech teams where whoever's in charge is kind of a hard person to work for, who was ready to call out all the mistakes, ready to, because in their mind they're working, right? There's a lot of responsibility. A lot of people are, out there. You can kind of be hard on one another. There can sometimes be yelling or scolding or whatever, just like any work, sort of environment. But one of the things that we as believers, especially believers in fellowship, are sort of praised for by various pieces in the scripture and encouraged to do, again, in the scripture, is to really, really encourage each other and to recognize each other for the good things in our life, yeah, in our life, but really recognize each other for, things, to put it sort of simply and colloquially, good behavior or impressive performance, or even just living your life, or even, the way you pray. If you have a particular style of prayer that really encourages people, even down to, hey, you look good today, or whatever. This was sort of in my community of growing up in the church, which was several different churches, by the way. It wasn't just one church. This was a wonderful part about being in that church community, encouraging each other and lifting each other up, which is something every church will say, like, we lift each other up, we encourage each other. But that can look many different ways. And one of them that's great is just being like, dude, great job. Dude, we're so impressed. Look, even if you don't know the person, like, I don't really know you, but I just love the, I love the whatever encouragement you bring to this church, things like that. Okay, you get the point. And when I got older, and specifically in college, but even more specifically when I got out of college, right? Like real adult life, when it starts getting harder to make friends or to like maintain friendships in that kind of period of life. Um, I I was surprised a couple times when um, some friends of mine, some non-believer friends and some friends who were like fairly new, they came to me and you go, dude, you make us feel so good. Like it's so great being around you. Like the way that you're just willing to compliment us, or the way that you just make people feel, it's just crazy. I like it's so cool. And it caught me by surprise because it was kind of just like normal for me. But then it kind of turned into like a thing, right? Where whatever, if a group of friends was together and we were doing something, somebody would, maybe if there's a lull, or it was almost like a game. They'd be like, "All right, compliment time." And like everybody would take turns. Either it was one person and everybody would take turns sort of complimenting that person, or you'd go around the circle and everybody gets to compliment, somebody in there. And it was sort of tongue in cheek because like it is a little bit like a maybe a preschool game or something, it is a little, it's funny. And in a way, it only worked, people were only willing to, because that's a vulnerability. There's a lot of vulnerability there. You don't want to sound stupid. You don't want to give, whatever. We're very protected often when we're with groups of people. And to, go around in a circle and compliment each other, like it's corny. It's a little cornball. It's a little preschool. But it was done in this like funny, fun way that everybody, everybody knew this is what we're doing. Okay, we're all doing this together. And so it helped kind of get past that little bit of vulnerability that really keeps people from, sharing nice compliments with one another. Because whatever, you don't want somebody to get the wrong idea, or you don't want them to, feel weird or something. So it was kind of made into this little game, and it was very good, and everybody loved it. And it was just, I highly recommend it for any group of individuals who know and see each other. It's one thing that I don't know if I want to get into that. So, but thank you, 856, for giving us Romans 15:13-14. I'll read it one more time. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope. I myself am satisfied about you, my brothers, that you yourselves are full of goodness, filled with all knowledge, and able to instruct one another. Thank you, 856, for that. Um, Here's one from Monica, 406. Monica says, I'd like to know how many Canarians are going back to analog tech like DVDs and VHS instead of streaming everything. I just bought a VCR so I can watch my old family videos. Talk about dodging the news cycle. See y'all in the chat. Monica. I believe I saw Monica in the chat. Yes, very good. There's Monica. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. The DVD thing comes up a lot in prepper circles, of course. If the whole grid's going down, if the internet's going down, you're going to want your DVD collection. Lots of people take pride in their DVD collection. VHS, even more so. VHS, a little bit less practical because the tapes sort of disintegrate. The tapes can be damaged just naturally more than DVD. But yeah, I suppose I'm a little embarrassed to say that I do not have a whole ton of physical media in that way. I have a lot of books, a lot of books. Not to say that like that would be my preferred style of entertainment in the apocalypse. I probably would like to have some DVDs, but I'm more of a hoarder, so I don't throw away any books. So there you go. Maybe we need to start like a CanaryCry DVD or CanaryCry physical media, I don't know, meetup or club where people can trade mail physical media to each other. Thank you, Monica, for that. Oh, I just got logged out for no reason of the text message alert back end. So let me just click a couple more things. While I click these things, remember, folks, this is a call-in show, believe it or not. We are going to take call-ins. We got a couple people in the back room already getting ready to call in. And don't be afraid. You don't need anything special to talk about. You can talk about whatever. You can share what's going on in your life. You can just say hi. It's just an opportunity for us to get a little bit of fellowship. And you'll see in the description of this video, there's call-in link. It's right there at the top. It says call-in link. Click on that, depending on what platform you're doing it on. Either click on it or copy and paste it into a browser window. It'll ask you a couple questions, then it'll put you into the back room. That's right. In the back room, you can watch and listen to the show as normal. And when the time comes, I will bring you up on the stage. So go ahead, do it. I dare you. Let's go. All right. Any more text messages? Here we go. We got a couple saying hi. Best news. Yes, thank you. Have a great show. The real Tim Pool. Thank you, Tim Pool. There you go. All right. So that's that. Now, before we're going to start taking callers here in a moment. But I want to, somebody is saying, I saw it. Okay. Sir Psalm 40 is saying the CCNT YouTube channel link was funky. Didn't work for me from mobile. The YouTube channel link. I wonder where that link was. That's the second person I saw mention it. I don't know. Do you mean in the text message? I don't think I sent the link in the text message. Yeah, let me know. I don't know exactly what the problem is. CCNT YouTube channel link was funky. All right. Well, give me a little bit more specifics on that. All right. Before we jump into callers, which I'm very excited to do, we've got some very important things to do in regards to producers. Okay. So here's the jingle.
Producers, assemble!
All right. This is very important. This is a very important part of being part of the body, whether the body is an online collection of believers who enjoy certain podcasts or just the body as a whole, as the Big C Church, the followers of Christ. And that's prayers, okay? We're calling the producers, and the producers are everybody listening to me right now across the world who want to produce the show by praying, by answering the prayer call. If you are a prayer warrior, if you are a praying person, if you've ever prayed or you ever plan on praying, these calls come out. We get prayer requests from listeners of the show, from producers of the show, friends of the show. Of course, keep the show in your prayers and keep me and Cons in your prayers. But I want to make a pray-ducer call. So write this down or take a second and pray right now. For a friend of the show and a fellow who's been on this podcast a couple times, and that's Rod from Millennial Mustard Seed. He is got some very interesting things going on. The long and short of it is the adversary is coming against him very, very hard. And I'm going to try my best to describe as much as I can, just from what I've been told. But we've got a little bit of this from how we've talked to him previously. But the long and short of it is that the enemy is really coming against him and his family. And I think it was earlier this week. He was in his house and his kids were in their rooms, and he was sitting there. He was working on music. A lot of you know that he is a musician, has put out some tracks, and there's really, really, really wonderful sort of expression of this energy and this praise that he has. And he was writing a song for God. And while he was doing this, a mighty wind came and knocked a gigantic tree, knocked the tree down, and it crushed his car, and it also made impact with the house as well. And this is, thank God that nobody was hurt. And this is obviously very traumatic and scary, but nobody was hurt, just frightened, and the car's destroyed and the house is damaged. And more than anything, we obviously pray for goodness gracious. I mean, we give praise that nobody was hurt. We pray that God's glory be done in this whole thing. Of course, we pray that God, in his infinite sort of provision, make the resources available to fix the house and replace the car and things like this. But we are aware, we know as believers, and we all experience this in our own very special way, that there are times when the enemy comes against us and we don't quite know why. And it just seems like one of these things in life. I mean, we pray, we know that God's glory come through all of our obstacles and all of our difficulties. And then there are times when a series of events happen, maybe all at once or over many months or even years of really, really difficult times, that it's indicative that the enemy really has a reason, really has some incentive to kind of be a thorn in our side, per se. And along with praying for Rod and the damage to the house and the damage to the car and the peace and the safety of his family, he told me about a spiritual project that he has been working on in his area and with some other people, and the group is growing, about really standing up for God and for his region and for his nation. And he told me about a project he's working on called the Spiritual Declaration of Independence. And it's this project, I didn't ask him, but he sent me some pictures of this, and goodness gracious, that's exactly what it is. And it is a declaration of spiritual independence from the principalities and the powers and the sort of dark spirits and the spirits of wickedness in high places. And as we know theologically, and we feel in our bones that the enemy has been given dominion over this world in so many different ways. We're told this in Scripture. and we experience the various, spiritual forces in high places who have dominion over various regions. It could be small regions, could be big regions, this sort of hierarchy here. And Rod is putting together this declaration of spiritual independence, and it's starting to gain a lot of steam, a lot of attention from, of course, various people in his areas, various churches, and it's this really incredible sort of grassroots spiritual, I don't know what to call it, spiritual movement, but there's a lot of believers in this country who are ready to sort of stand up and declare that that God's in control. And Rod's had a really rough time the past maybe past year, past couple years. I know how that is. You guys got to listen to me complain for a couple years when it just seemed like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And we know that God is sovereign over all things. And so no matter what obstacle or difficulty that we're coming up against in life, and sometimes it's the regular sufferings of everyday life. Of course, you've heard me talk about that. Other times there's something very clearly coming against us in sort of a prolonged way. And we know that this is often the case when we have some sort of special either calling or when you're a threat. When you're a threat, the enemy really comes at you. And we got to remember that the enemy is only able to interfere and pester us because of the sovereignty of God, because God is allowing it to happen. This is what the book of Job is all about. And this is one of those things that a lot of people don't like about Christian theology, right? That how could God be in charge of everything and bad things still happen? And yet it's right there in the scriptures. It's one of the reasons why human logic and the logos of the universe need to be distinguished, because there's the logos, which is um, which is God, which is Jesus, which is the logic of the universe, which is the very code of the reality around us. And then there's our human logic, which is so insufficient already in so many ways, but is influenced by our human wants and needs and imperfections and our moral indignations and our self-interest and even maybe our interest in others, our interest in what we want the world to look like. But when we really understand and we accept, it's really something that just simply needs to be accepted, not proven, not argued for, simply accepted, to gain a better picture of reality. When we accept that the logos of the universe, that when these forces come up against us, it's only by the permission of the God of the universe. And we can take comfort in the fact that it is not for nothing. And it is not simply chaos, that there is a bigger plan, and there is a bigger spiritual war happening at the same time. And so all this to say, let's put Rod's name on the prayer list, everybody, or say a little prayer for Rod right now from Millennial Mustard Seed. It is actually, I think it's tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually the 7th year anniversary of him doing his podcast at Millennial Mustard Seed, which is interesting because we just had our 14th year. I didn't know. Anyways, that timing was interesting. It's his 7th year, and he's really believing on God that this 7th year will be something like a jubilee, so just want to pray. Of course, we want to pray for all the Canarians. But when something really hits the family like this, our family, the Canary Cry family, want to make sure to put the call out there and really come together, stand side by side, not just with each other against spiritual forces of darkness, but stand next to Rod as well, and pray that whatever this is, and he knows this, but whatever's going on, it is by the will of God, and God is in the fire with him. And to the degree that the enemy stands against us, God is infinitely more powerful on our side, and we'll take it as a signal that these various projects and movements that he's participating in are something that the enemy really doesn't like. So, praying for you, Rod. Maybe someday when he has time, he can come on and share with us more details about what he's got going on. But want to make sure to pray for the body like that. All right. There we go. Thank you, God. Let's take some callers. Let's do it. Let's say hi to. Let me check this. Sometimes the people in the back room organize themselves and figure out who's going first or not. So I need to check the. Oh, interesting. Okay, so is it the call-in link that's missing letters? Did the call-in link not get accurately put on the thing? That might be it. Okay. That would make sense for why so many people have not been able to call in. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll copy and paste the call-in link into the chat so everybody can have it. There you go. There you go. What's going on? Okay, there it is. There's the call-in link. You can grab them there. Okay, let's take our first caller. We got our first caller, Sir Psalm 40. Let's bring him up on stage. Here we go. Sir Psalm 40, how's it going, buddy?
Hey man, what's up?
Not much. Just
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. How are you?
Checked out.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, good. I can hear you now. Cool.
Okay,
What's going
sweet.
on, buddy?
Hey, guess what?
What?
Surprise! I'm 856.
You're 856. Oh, you're
Yeah,
856, the one who texted
yeah, man.
Romans 15:13 through 14.
That's a banger, right?
That's a good one, man. It's good. I like it a lot.
Well, peace and joy are probably my favorite of the fruits of the spirit. And yeah, it says be full of peace and joy through your belief. You know, just in the fact that you believe, have peace and joy in that, in your belief. Obviously, in Christ's victory over death. And
Yeah.
then the Spirit will do the rest and fill you with hope, which is one of those things that never pass away at the end of 1 Corinthians 13 or something like that.
Amen. Amen, brother. Yeah, it's really interesting too. I was just having a conversation with myself and with God and with some other actual human beings. Even though it's interesting because of course, we talk about faith and belief and hope and peace. And these are words that sort of help guide us to the experience of, what God sort of has for us and what our state of being can be with the grace of God. And for each one of those words, like the actual experience of it is so hard to like really describe. Every time I try to describe the hope that I have in Christ or faith or belief or peace even, which these things sort of transcend all the things going on in our life right now. Like we're so used to having our attitude or our mood be affected by our current situation, whether it's like, a big situation or there's a rock in my shoe or there's, these types of things. At least in America, like it's hard to communicate this sort of deeper, more eternal states that God allows us to have and describe them in English words. But it's very difficult to do. But all we can do is keep trying, and maybe that's the point.
That emotional separation, or I guess you could call it a spiritual separation that you're talking about. I think that's a perfect segue into the other thing I really wanted to talk about, which is kind of like the old mind, like you were saying earlier. I think that our issue is that we're just overloaded with information,
Yeah.
and we're we're burnt out, and like the brain or the human body in total is like a phenomenal thing. The way that it can regenerate itself and the conditions that it can still operate in. Our minds are like super overloaded right now. So we're so far detached from like, we may have more data than they had back then,
Mm,
but they had more brain space to process whatever they were going through or looking at.
yeah.
They weren't as detached from critical thinking because that's all they had. They had to naturally critically think in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of that old mind, I actually recently decided to like go down a not so crazy rabbit hole, and I grew up in like a kind of historical place, and like it was always like mentioned in passing growing up, like in school and stuff. But and there's like monuments and stuff, but like I never really knew much about it. Supposedly it's like a Quaker village or something, and the, like Quakers made a deal with Indians. And that's really all that anybody ever knows. But there's a tree. It actually wasn't Quakers that made the deals with the Indians. It was an Englishman. Originally, I'm in New Jersey. Originally, it was owned by the Dutch. And there was the Dutch that owned it. They owed money to the Dutch crown, and they couldn't pay it. So an Englishman came in and said, "I will buy half of it. You keep the other half. I'll take half, and I'll pay the whole debt on the whole state." And so he agreed to that deal. But in this paperwork somewhere, this Englishman that bought half of New Jersey, he said that he would be governor of all New Jersey, and that became important way later. But the point is, eventually he got arrested, and there's like a whole pretty cool history to it. Like, it's a pretty cool story actually. And these Quakers came along. I guess like far South Jersey wasn't really like settled, even though the Dutch supposedly owned it, or now this Englishman that had bought it, he really owned it, but it wasn't really settled. So like
Mhm.
there were certain Indians that it was their spot. Indians would come out there and hunt or just camp out for different seasons. And so these Quakers came out of nowhere from the south, from that where it should only be Indian. And they ended up making a deal with these Indians to go get the Englishman out of jail because he got in the whole like paperwork. I don't know. There was like a whole thing that he got into, but the Quakers ended up coming out of nowhere and saving him. But the deal that these Quakers made with the Indians, they did it under this special tree, and the tree was still around. Like I grew up in the town where this tree was, and like they built a library next to it and stuff. So in 2019, on January 6th at 6 p.m., it collapsed.
Oh, no.
And they, I haven't been able to find a reason for it, but that's just anywhere that I try to look for it, that's the explanation that's given.
The tree just collapsing, what, out of old age or something?
I guess that would be the excuse,
Mm.
but this was the Quaker thing was like in the 1600s. So
That's an old tree.
yeah.
That's an old tree. Well, does that mean the deal's off?
Oh yeah. It totally got all cut up after that. That was in the 1600s, man. After the Dutch eventually got ran out by the British, this Englishman, his name was John Fenwick, was the Englishman that bought half of New Jersey, and he ended up, like I said, he didn't pay. He said he would pay the whole debt to the Dutch crown, and that's how he got half of New Jersey, and he didn't pay. And when that came, there was already some kind of a English governor in New York. So I guess the state of New York was already settled by the English, but for
Mm.
whatever reason, the Dutch were in New Jersey, and so the English ended up arresting him, and so he went to New York in prison, and that's when the Quakers came out with this paperwork. He said, "No, I'm the governor of New Jersey. I don't owe anybody anything." And they said, "Prove it to us," but he's in prison, so he couldn't. So the only people that saved him were these mysterious Quakers that made a deal with Indians to get this paperwork and bring it up to him in New York. And then he came back. And then I don't remember how things went sour after this, but William Penn, he was the governor of Pennsylvania at the time. And so I guess that was also, he was an Englishman also, was already settled by the English. Somehow he got involved to get John Fenwick out with the Dutch because he still owed the Dutch money. And so William Penn said, "I'll cut this land up even more." And John Fenwick ended up with a tenth of the half of the state that he owned, which ended up being Salem City, New Jersey, which is where I grew up at and where the tree is.
How did you just go on a history like rabbit hole over the
Yeah,
weekend or something? Is
yeah,
that
yeah. I
where this came from?
yeah, I enjoy learning, so instead of searching the Epstein files, I was like, you know what? There's this really old tree in my town. I wonder what the story is with that.
That's a good
And I
use of your
found out, well, the first thing I find is that it fell 9 months before the lockdowns in June of 2019. And I was like, okay, 6/6. And they say it fell 6 p.m. I don't know how they know that, but I've found two different sources that say that.
crazy. And they don't know how there wasn't like a storm or something.
No,
Dude, it's always really sad when a big tree dies, isn't it?
it really is.
It's interesting. I was just randomly came across this like little mini documentary that somebody made about, I forget what it's called, but some tree in England. There's this like two hills and one tree grew right in between the hills. And for some reason, it's this really important tree. And, in the middle of the night, I guess somebody came in and cut it down. And it was just this like devastating thing for the whole community, even from like people all over the world were totally devastated by this. They ended up catching the guys. I don't know what happened after that, but it's even reflected in like, I don't know, like movies. There's always a really dramatic. I mean, you go to Avatar, of course, tree very important. You go to Pocahontas, obviously, tree very important. And when those trees fall, it's always the worst thing in the world. But even in real life, not in fake fantasy mythology world, the felling of like a really old tree is is super striking. Did they have a funeral for the tree? I would not be surprised if they had a funeral for the tree.
I don't think that they did anything special, which is surprising. It's a
Mm.
fallen town. Like there's nothing. It's a terrible place, man. It's
Past
really a
its
sad.
prime. Past its
It's a
prime.
sad place. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder where that came from. Like because what is so bad about it? Like, I mean, that is how
You mean
plants
about
do
the tree
die.
falling?
Yeah, that's how they pollinate. I don't see anything wrong. You are, reaping your harvest.
Yeah.
But
I'm
I do see that like they are the longest. It takes the most dedication to grow a tree. My wife is the green thumb in our family, and she's obsessed with her little herb garden.
Mhm.
And I convinced her to do potatoes. I wanted to get a tree, but she's telling me that first of all, you're probably going to need two of them because they need to like inseminate each other,
Hmm.
unless I get like a chemically altered one. And then even still, I'm going to be waiting
You need a breeding
several years.
pair. Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes several years.
I
So it's
mean, maybe
something
that's
that
it. Maybe it has to do with time, you
it
know how
needs to
much
be
I mean,
passed
just
down.
way beyond our conception of time, the lifespan of these trees, hundreds of years. Maybe it's just some sort of instinct of like, oh, geez, the time that it took for that thing to exist. There's no way to replace it, at least as of now. There's no way for you. You can't just erect another tree. Maybe it's like it has like this feeling of hopelessness, because it's one thing that we cannot replace, we cannot rebuild because the very foundation, like the true structure of a tree is time. It's just enormous amount of time that we don't have.
I could see how there would be special ones, like did God really say you can't eat from any tree? You can't cut down any tree? No, just we can't cut that one tree down. I could understand that, I guess,
That's
but you
interesting.
can rebuild a tree if
That's
you have
true.
the
We have a
perseverance.
lot of we have a lot of well, I mean, I guess when it comes to rebuilding a tree, I guess what I mean is like it's something that's like within God's hands, I mean, we can grow a tree, but you can't but you got to take 300 years to do it, right? It's sort of one of those things that until we can like GMO genetically modify a tree that it grows like 300 years in a week or something, which I'm sure somebody's working on. That would certainly solve world hunger or whatever. Um, it's just there feels like there's a hopelessness in it that nothing can rebuild a tree like that except for time, and time is like the one thing that we really don't have control over. So in that way, maybe it's a good reminder that we aren't God.
Most certainly.
Man.
Maybe it's a evolutionary trauma trigger from when the angels cut down all the trees.
Ooh. Oh, Monica's reminding me of she says people who plant trees know that they're for another generation to enjoy. Yeah, there is a sweet, I mean, Monica basically just said it, but there's a pretty heavy quote that says just that exact thing, but Monica paraphrased it already. Yeah. There's the heavy things, trees. Heavy things, trees. Good job, trees. I'm pretty sad. I had a tree growing on the compound and it went, I don't know, fallow or something last autumn and winter like it was supposed to, and it's not coming back. It's it's warming up. We should have some little leaves on the tree. I'm kind of scared it didn't make it, but we will rebuild. Sir Psalm 40, thank you so much for calling in, man, hitting us with that real American tree-based history.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
sir. Yeah.
Good job on your excellent use of time, and hopefully it becomes an inspiration for all of us to turn down the news once in a while and study more American history.
It is definitely American history. You will not be let down. Just look into your town. Definitely something happened on those grounds, 500 years ago.
For sure. Yeah. Amen. All right. God bless you, buddy. Hope to talk to you
Yep.
again soon.
You too, man. Peace.
Peace. I guess, like, I mean, this might be the stupidest thing to say in the world, but it's funny. I mean, trees have been sort of particularly important to American history. You've got the Liberty Tree. You've got the is that the one on the flag? I don't know. Trees a big deal. Okay. We got Be More Busker in the back here. It says devices are not connected. So be more busker. I don't know if you're still tuned in, but it looks like you might need to reconnect your device before I can bring you up on stage. So I'll let you work on that, and we'll bring up Sir David G. calling in. What's going on, Sir David G? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Just out here farming XP in the real world,
Farming XP.
Gotta level up and put some stat points on my wisdom and constitution.
There you go. It's so funny because I've heard it before, and I like to think that it could be true. I have not been able to successfully do it, but one of the defenses that I came across and gave to my parents long ago in defense of me playing video games was that there's life lessons in video games. There's lots of good life lessons that you work on it a little every day. You gain experience, and all that practice and all that energy, builds up to accomplish a bigger goal. And that's how life is, Now, if only we would actually apply those things to life, like it sounds like you are. Do you gamify? Like, here, I'll say this. I have also been told about an app and tried the app. It did not work, but it was sort of like a gamified, like life app, like trying to give you experience for like whatever, like doing your chores and drinking your water, or working on your big project or something. It's like a planner app, like a to-do list app, and everything you actually did gave you experience points, and you can like level up your little guy. It seems like a really good argument that I was giving my parents to let me play video games. I'm not totally sure if I have successfully applied those theories to my life.
No, I'm not. I don't gamify my life. I just have my own internal monologue that's quite harsh when I'm not doing what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what keeps me in line. And, just natural consequences also keep me in line. So
it's hard to escape natural consequences. If all else fails, natural consequences are always there to remind us.
Yeah. And that's kind of what what I've been working on lately is just putting away a lot of the distractions, because I like video games too. I grew up playing video games and whatnot, and when you're a single bachelor most of your life, what else is there to do but play video games, right?
Right.
But now not so much these days. So I'm trying to get away from computer games, stuff like that, and just to kind of what somebody was asking about it, Monica, right, about the old like DVDs and such. And
Yeah.
So anyway, I can give a little bit of advice on that. I've been getting into that kind of stuff more heavily over the past couple years, so I would recommend, if you are getting into the old technologies, I'd say stick to DVD, Blu-ray, VHS. I mean, yes, if you want that nostalgia. However, the quality, especially at this point, is very degraded.
Yeah.
And the more you use it, the more it degrades, and at some point it's just going to completely deteriorate.
And would having physical media like a DVD, would that beat just having a thumb drive filled with, downloaded movies?
I mean, you can. That's one way to do it. However, you still have to, boot up some kind of device, right?
Computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the devices are a little bit more analog. I mean, particularly with VHS, but DVD player is like a little computer, but it's not like you're going to give your DVD player a virus from getting on the dark web in the apocalypse.
Right. So that's what I would recommend for as far as video goes. So audio, I'd say stick to vinyl and CDs. Cassettes are okay, but it's the same
Same problem.
situation.
Magnetic.
Yeah.
It'll go bad.
Yeah, I started getting into cassettes also, and I just, because I've been picking through all the thrift shops and whatever, and you'll find some cassettes, and then you bring them home, and they just sound like garbage.
They'll be all
Yeah,
warped like that. It's kind of
yeah.
it's kind of fun. When I was younger, right out of college, I had an old car. It was an old what was it? It was an old Buick. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was a Buick from like 1991 or something. And it had a tape player. And I was doing a long drive. I was driving home from college, and I had one tape, and it was a Robert Johnson tape, like the old blues
Mm.
guy. And it was so warped and wonky, but because like old blues musicians were like kind of already wonky and like nothing really mattered, as far as the like
Yeah,
musicality, it actually made it sound really cool.
nice.
But yeah, those magnetic tapes, they'll just kind of slip away as time goes on.
Yeah, they will degrade. So that's just, some tips for anybody out there who's thinking about getting into that stuff. And do you know anything about the age verification stuff going on with operating systems? Have y'all covered that at all?
I mean, I'm kind of tracking it. I don't know. I couldn't give like the detail. I mean, I could give the theory of it and I could give some examples, but I don't really know on the like technical side exactly. But they're
Well,
trying to put basically age verification on everything, even just
yeah,
on the,
at the operating system level. So basically, you have California has already passed it. I forget what their bill was called. And then Colorado, it's still they haven't passed it. It's still in the, I don't know what they call it, but it's open for, discussion or whatever. And there's one hardware manufacturer that they use Linux as their operating system. System 76, they've actually gone to Colorado and talked to the legislators there. So we'll see what happens with that. But I know Brazil has also passed some kind of law that you have to verify someone's age at the operating system level.
yeah.
And there's lots of because the Linux space has become very woke over the past like 10 years or so. It's full on infiltration. It's all completely divided, like the left and the right with everything else. You can't don't use this operating system because they're fascists and all that good stuff. So now they're starting to attack the Linux space as well. So if you were into free open source software, it's they're coming for everything now. Essentially, I just saw something else today about System D. It's like a part of how the operating system works. Like, so whoever maintains System D, they're now implementing it. So it's like you're not escaping it. And so how are they actually going to enforce that? Like, how are they going to prove that someone is a certain age at the operating system level? Well, I think we can all deduce where that's headed, right? With some kind of digital ID based on biometrics
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, just a heads up on that stuff. If you I think BSD is like the only safe haven for now. So if you're really non-technical, I don't know what to tell you if you can't get a BSD system up and running, but I think that's really the only safe avenue right now.
For those who don't know, what's BSD?
BSD is a Unix-like operating system similar to Linux. It came from Berkeley. I forget what the acronym means, but it's a Unix, which basically is what Linux is based on, the Unix operating system.
Yeah. And you
But
have to, it takes a little bit of technical attention, right? You can't just go to Best Buy and buy a computer with BSD.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Like the where Linux, I've been using it for, decades now. But where it is today, it's I that's all I drive. That's my daily driver. I don't use Windows at all, really. And it wasn't always like that. It was always Linux was very difficult to use, and nothing was supported. It was like getting certain hardware to work with. It was a nightmare.
Right.
But now, so Steam, if you're a gamer, Steam came out with their Proton, and so it's basically I think they call it a hardware abstraction layer. It's like a translation layer that kind of allows games to run on Linux that are written for Windows. And that's been huge. That's really done a lot for compatibility for hardware. When it comes to Linux, that's done a lot over the past 5, 6, 7 years. So really it's come a long way, and it's very user-friendly now. You don't really have to touch the command line a lot unless you want to. But that's basically what BSD is. It's Linux-like, but way more heavily, command line based. So now that Linux is getting way more user-friendly, now they want to just destroy it with, the beast system. It's just infiltrating everything.
Yeah, and I think if anybody had any question, if they were prepared to, switch over, try some of these alternative operating systems, if they understood anything that you said or not, would be a really good example of if they're ready to switch over or not.
Yeah,
that's how they get you, buddy. That's how they get you.
There's nothing. I mean, really, we know how the story ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to bring that to anybody's attention if they haven't heard about it. And there's ways to kind of prolong the inevitable, I guess.
Yep.
And that avenue is pretty much BSD at this point. If
Yeah,
you're willing to, put in the work.
well, you should start a CanaryCry alternative operating system crew, so we can switch over the whole gang.
I don't have time. Are y'all still doing the?
You don't have time. I don't have time.
Are y'all still doing the podcast group thing that you and Rod were talking about?
Yeah, actually, Rod and I were just talking about that. We're gonna have some news on that soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I sent you an email and I never heard anything back, so I didn't know if it was like scrapped or what.
Well, it certainly has not started yet, but Rod and I just had a planning session, and we're looking to get things started very soon. I don't want to give any timelines now. But yeah, keep an eye out if anybody signed up for that, or you interacted with either myself or Rod about getting on the podcast crew, starting your own podcast, getting the gang together. Keep an eye out for emails going out and stuff, because we just picked it back up again recently. It's gonna be good, man.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Well, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. God bless you, buddy. Thanks
God
for
bless you too.
in the loop, man.
Yeah, I love you guys.
Love you too.
All the canaries out there, man. It's just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
We love you back, buddy.
All right.
Bye. There you go. I mean, come on. Variety, folks. We're talking about trees, American history, alternative operating systems, digital ID. What do you got? What do you want? What do you want? No news yet. No headlines. There you go. Okay. Be More Busker figured out his issues. He's here. Let's see what's going on with him. What's going on, buddy? You're on the air.
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great. What's on your mind?
Oh, cool. What I was saying earlier, you have to copy and paste. I should have gave you context. Like the link is there, but you have to copy and paste the actual link from the description.
You're talking on YouTube?
Yeah, you can't click on it. That's the thing. That happened to KJ Osborne. He on his thing too. I had to copy and paste to get in. And
have we previously been able to just click it, or has it always been that way?
I remember I could click it before, but I think it's happening more and more now to people that people have to copy and paste the link, and that really like slows people down because
it does. It's a nudge. It's a nudge to keep people from interacting. They do these tiny little things all the time to just make it harder and harder. And the sad part is that it works,
Right.
these little, just tiny little obstacles to, interacting with a piece of content. They unfortunately work very well. Well,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's going on in your life here?
Not too much. I'm just
You know,
living.
sorry to interrupt.
You're all right. Go ahead.
It sounded like maybe you don't necessarily have something you're ready to super dive into. Am I reading that right or incorrect?
Well, I mean, it's just is what it is, man. Life is life, and I get by with the pharmaceuticals that they prescribe me. I mean,
Uh-huh. What kind of
that's
pharmaceuticals?
well, they have me on clonazepam, 1 milligram a day, which isn't way too much.
The good stuff.
And yeah, it keeps my mind settled, but it also takes away sleep seizures and an entire abdominal wall spasm I have from MS. And so I have to be on it. Like I've been on it for 15 years, and it's either that or I'd have to drink, and I don't want to do that no more.
Yeah,
So
sure. Yeah.
it's weird how it works like that. Like the benzo works exactly like booze in a lot of ways because it totally eliminates that spasm until it doesn't, until it comes back.
That's very interesting. So you're having stomach lining
Yeah,
spasm,
yeah, the muscle, the
but
abdomen,
then
the whole.
you would drink alcohol and then it would stop spasming?
Oh yeah, dude. Like I remember when I was playing that piano key accordion playing in the Irish band, I'd be drinking a whole lot because I didn't know what was wrong with me at the time, but I knew underneath my big gut because I was big and fat back then, 230. Yeah, I felt like it felt like imagine being mid sit up and staying there. That's what your muscles are like in your abdomen when you
Mhm.
have this kind of clenching spasm. They call it like the MS hug or the bear hug or whatever they call it, you know?
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, and, that only mitigates with the benzo, and if I don't have it, then it comes back, and then I more problems than that. I've been addicted to this stuff for so long. It's just there's no other way to get rid of it,
You're talking about
unfortunately.
addicted to the benzos or addicted to the
Yeah, I'm totally addicted. I mean, like, at
Yeah.
the
Well, that's the thing with the benzos is after a period of time, yeah,
oh, yeah.
that's pretty much it. There's no getting off it. I mean, it can be extremely dangerous. That was the
Oh, I
thing
know,
with,
I know, but,
what's
like, more
his face?
than that,
Jordan
like,
Peterson.
yeah, dangerous and also, like, it would compound the issues that I was getting rid of, like, times 1,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I I hope the supply chain doesn't dry up because if it does, I'm done.
Oh
That's
my
all.
gosh, dude. Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't even really think about that.
yeah,
Yeah, during COVID, we saw the supply chain issues and everybody suddenly became aware that China makes all our drugs and they could
that's
turn it
right.
off whenever you
Yeah.
want. And, of course, there's the sort of obvious ones like antibiotics and stuff. But yeah, if you've got people who are dependent medically or otherwise on benzos, that's just a
Yeah.
ticking time bomb if that stops.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, like back when I was younger, I mean, I wouldn't have done this because I just thought, well, I heard about benzos and I thought, well, it'll make me tired. I don't need that. And it does, but it also takes your soul away, dude. I can't
Mhm.
like it's been so hard to make up music because I have no passion, like except I'll play stuff I already know. I can do that like robotically. And
Yeah.
I like working on instruments. I still like doing that. Like I'm not like totally uh you know inspiration dead, but
Mhm. Yeah, man,
it ain't what it used to be.
that's crazy. Yeah, believe it or not, there was a period of time in my life when I spent my own time with benzos, and they're scary, man. They can be real scary. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Yeah.
there's, I mean, Xanax particularly. You can
Oh,
get
that's just terrible, man. That
yeah,
stuff is just waste. It's it only lasts like at what, like a couple hours or something.
a couple hours, and if you're not careful, you just get full on amnesia. Like, you'll just lose the time. Like, you just are gone. You have
Yeah,
no idea what happened in that time.
yeah.
Speaking
I'm glad I got off of that one. I mean, I'd much rather be on this clonazepam, but they're all, just dangerous,
Yeah.
But that's the price I gotta pay for this disease I have because I have no other option except, like I said, alcohol, and I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of the thing, and that's a lot of I mean, look, we talk a lot about addiction with people who call in, and, I have my own experience with, addiction in my family and in my life and people that I've, helped along the way. But there is a sort of weird kinda gray area, and I think you're a great example of this, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, that's all
Um,
right.
because of course, abstinence is the most sort of recommended thing when it comes to addiction. And, I think 12-step programs absolutely have their place in the world, of course, and God primarily when it comes to getting it out of the grips of addiction. But when it's almost okay. Forgive me if this is like a, I don't know, insensitive way to do it, but
You're
it's
good.
similar to, like, people who have food addiction, right? And food addiction is, like, the weirdest one because you just think, "Well, stop eating food," but it's also the one that you still need to have to live, you know? It's like telling an alcoholic, like, "Okay, you can only have 1 beer a day," and anybody who's been an alcoholic or knows an alcoholic, just like you laugh, like just all laughed because the idea of telling an alcoholic that they can just have one little beer a day and that's it. It's
I
easy.
know,
Just have
dude.
one beer is like laughably absurd. Just shows total ignorance of the entire thing.
Oh, man, yeah, yeah.
And
It
so,
is that's just like, "Yeah, just have a beer. You'll be alright."
yeah,
No, well, I'm a little more addicted than that. I mean, like, if I had back in the day, if I had only 1 beer, like, when I was drinking the whiskey all the time, if I had only 1 beer, I'd just get a headache. That's it.
yeah, yeah. And most
And I'd be, like, desperate,
yeah,
That's the
well, that's the thing. It takes over you, takes over your life, takes over your
yeah,
decision making, takes over your motivations, takes over how you perceive what is going on, and not just in like a traditional, like, yeah, it's a beer thing, you get a little tipsy or whatever. It's just like this spirit that grabs onto you. But to
yeah.
to finish that out, I mentioned the food addiction, which is a very complicated one. But the one other sort of complicating factor is the addiction to something that maybe actually helps you. Like, you hear a lot of that with, like, marijuana people, and,
Yeah.
there's a conversation to have about cannabis addiction and what that actually means, and, of course, we've all heard the guy talk about that, whoever that guy is in our life, and, whatever. Um, so it's kind of funky to talk about that. But the other thing is, yeah, I mean, dude, with MS and this burden that you have, if you don't mind me saying, that
You're good.
99.999% of people listening to this will not and cannot understand, you
Yeah,
know?
I know, man, like, I can't even get my brother to even come close, and, that's the way that is. I remember early on, people were telling me, "Oh, it's all in your head." Well, not according to the MRI,
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay. I mean, I was, like, 27 when I was diagnosed, but I had my first symptoms when I was, like, 23, and my, general physician, whatever, I was telling him about all these numb patches I was getting. I was like, "I don't know what this is." And he's like, "Jim, there's this thing called hypochondria,
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, no, this is real. And he's like, well, just settle down and I think it'll go away. And
Mhm.
then, well, 4 years later, a lot of the S hits the fan, and so everything starts melting down neurologically, and then they finally put me on Copaxone, which kept me stable for quite a while, but then it just didn't. Now they got me on this infusion that I just got just the other day, and it doesn't help the symptoms whatsoever.
Mm.
All it does is you can only hope that you don't get more lesions on your spine or your brain. It's just like, okay, so, oh man.
Jeez, man.
It's
I
like
mean,
people, like they think they're so brilliant. And if they're that brilliant, they should have something to mitigate this, you know? Or
yeah.
just all things, I'm like, my sister, she's got cancer now.
Right.
Like my whole family's going through some rocky stuff, and she's like, what's that, second,
Second
what is it,
stage.
second stage, yep. um I guess that's not bad, but I mean, it hasn't spread. I don't
It's not
think
great.
yeah, it's not great. It's pray we gotta pray for her,
Yeah. Yeah, amen, man. I was actually gonna say, I mean, while we got the producers on patrol here, I mean, look, you're an incredible dude. Talking to you, hearing about everything you got going on. I think, um, in a good way. I don't want to make it sound weird or something, but
No, you're good, you're good.
God has a way of using all of us in ways that we might not even, know about or even understand. And especially the way the world is right now, where, really everybody's hurting in all sorts of
Yeah,
ways,
yeah.
everybody's hurting. But
Yeah, in situations like the whole COVID thing, as much as I hated that reaction, and I knew it was wrong from day one,
uh-huh.
and I just hated it forever and ever.
Yeah.
But a lot of things came about because of that. So
Oh,
yeah, that's like just things that can come out of the bad, I guess,
yeah. And it's totally beyond our comprehension, man. But,
Yeah.
you know, again, for me, feel totally blessed to be able to talk to you, get to know you, get to learn kind of what it's like, being you, and then to see, the different ways that God's using you. Even, yeah, I mean, in all sorts of ways, I'm sure, but even just through this show, it's just really a
Well,
blessing
I
to
truly appreciate
encounter.
that, Basil. I truly appreciate that, my friend.
Yeah, you betcha. In fact, let me go ahead and hit this. Let's get the producers on the job.
Producers, assemble!
So, of course, we're going to be keeping you in our prayers, buddy. If there's anything specific that you'd like the producers to keep in mind, definitely let us know. But of course, we want to be praying for your sister too.
Yeah, that's what I'm most concerned about. I mean, I know I've got my problems, and there's lots of problems I can't really seem to deal with. I'm gonna have to see a gastroenterologist eventually. To TMI, right?
It's all
Oh
good.
man, I don't even know what's going on. I keep eating and not expelling, so I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Sounds like a pain in the butt to me.
Yeah, literally.
So,
Anyway,
well, certainly. I mean, people are gonna keep you on their hearts and their prayers for sure. But if you wanna, I don't know if you wanna give your sister's name or anything, we can just just pray for Be More Busker's sister, whatever it is. If you wanna give the details of what kind of cancer it is or anything, and if not, if you don't want to give those details, that's
well,
totally fine
she
too.
has cervical cancer, and her name starts with a C, so I'll just call her C.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
See, cervical cancer. Goodness gracious.
I know, like, right, C has cervical cancer. No, that's bad.
There's so many C's, so
I
many.
know, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, for sure, buddy. Well, I will definitely be praying for both of you and the producers putting it on the list right now. Again, it's I even kind of come in contact with this problem myself in that uh, I can so confidently yap about how every obstacle and situation that comes against us is just another opportunity for God's sovereignty to, bring glory to his name and impress us with miracles and things like that. It's certainly easy for me to say on a podcast. It's an entirely other thing for each and every one of us to live that out in the ways that we have to in our own lives. But we really, what other choice do we have?
Right.
Logos over logic, and it's we don't have a whole lot of other options if we're going to be trying to walk through this world in the way we're supposed to. So,
That's absolutely right, my friend.
well, God bless you, buddy.
You
Love
too.
talking to you. Thanks for calling in.
Totally. I appreciate it every time, man. It's always good to talk to you. And I feel honored, dude, because I've seen your videos since you guys started. It's like, it blows me away.
14 years now, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, long time.
Long time.
All right, brother.
All right.
Take it easy.
God bless you, buddy. All right. Let's see. How are we doing on time? How are we doing? 1:40. Oh, yeah, we're good. Perfect timing again. Perfect. All right. Got one more caller in the back room here. Let me check the secret messages. Yeah, okay. Here we go. We got Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda, calling in. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hi, Basil. I didn't have a lot to talk about today, but then you
Well,
mentioned a whole bunch of things.
I'm always mentioning stuff. Can I use you as a guinea pig real quick, actually?
Go for it.
Because Sir Ike texted me a little while ago, and I feel bad because I didn't get back to him about it, but I did see it, and I am thinking about it a lot. He recalled back at the Joyspiracy Theory days, which you could almost call these call-in sections like little mini Joyspiracies, but he asked the question. I won't even say he made the suggestion, but he asked the question if a good way to start with a new caller is to ask them what they're grateful for today and see how that would affect the flow in the spirit of the conversation. So will you pick something you're grateful for today?
Yeah, I'm grateful that today, let me think.
I know it's funny because it was
Yeah,
like
right. Like put on the
conspiracy theory
spot.
too. It's the people would listen to the Joyspiracy Theory every single episode, and then they would come on the Joyspiracy Theory, and I would ask them the question that I ask at the beginning of every single one of them, and it would still catch people. I think there's some very interesting, like spiritual truth in that. Even if you see the question coming, it can still kind of catch us a little bit.
You know what it is? I know exactly what this is because we'll have our Monday morning discussions with my team, and they ask these kind of questions too. And the thing that it does is it makes people, you can sort of answer like a child and just say on the top of your mind your thing.
Yeah.
But then as adult, you kind of think, oh, I need to be more spiritual about this
Yeah.
answer.
I just need something good. There's got to be something good.
And so I think I was just going to be like, it's not windy today was my literal
Well, and
what
honestly,
I'm thankful for.
that's part of the fun too, at least for me, and I remember this being the case back with Joyspiracy Theory. It was like kind of part of the fun because, of course, if we all stop and think about it for a second, like it's totally acceptable to be like, I'm thankful for my mom and my dad, or I'm thankful for air because, and it feels like childlike, right? It feels like a Sunday school kind of answer. But at the same time, hello, we're called to this childlike faith. We're called to let the little children come. And there's these opportunities that we can often miss. A little bit like my story of like the funny little corny game with my adult friends after college of like, okay, everybody compliment each other now, where you just kind of gotta grasp it, hold on to it, and you know, it's good. I think even in our own prayers, just between us and God, we're trying to like have a really impressive conversation with God and, thanking God for the air that we get to breathe, uh, can make us feel a little embarrassed or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I think it's it's fun to be confronted with. That's for sure.
Well, I think part of it was the fact that you mentioned that because I literally was listening to the Joyspiracy before this show.
Oh, were you?
So it also, yeah, that also kind of like threw my brain for a loop, I think.
Oh my gosh, that is trippy. Actually, I didn't know anybody actually still listen to that.
Yeah, I still go back and listen.
Dude, I'm
Um,
thinking, not to derail everything. Sorry, I know you might have something you want to talk about, but just to be open and vulnerable about it, continuing to trying to figure out what the heck God wants for this year. Like, is news even still a thing? Like, we're getting tons of people being like, hey, I just got to get away from news or whatever. And not that we're planning on stopping that or whatever, but I'm just like, God, what else can I do with my time? Like, what does the body need? What do the Canarians need? What do I need? What does the world need? And over, there's, either through people or through, movements of the spirit or something. There's a lot of questions coming up about like, I don't know, maybe the Joyspiracy needs a little comeback, or maybe once a month or something. I don't really know.
I think people would listen. I'd listen at least. You'd have one listener.
Yeah, and that's better than nothing. I'll tell you that.
So I'll mention really quick too about you talked about trees, and it's kind of ironic. My parents, my dad grew up on a property where they had trees, like a lot of trees,
Uh-huh.
and it reminded me they have these giant cottonwood trees, and so when you mentioned even oh, I'm so blanking on the name right now, but from Millennial Mustard Seed.
Rod.
Rod, thank you. Um, every time it's super mega windy, I always get super nervous thinking about them because they have these ginormous cotton trees
Mm-hmm.
all over their property, and a few of them are very close to their home. I mean, this thing's like,
Those cottonwood trees, they catch wind too. They
yeah,
move, man.
and I mean, this one they have is I couldn't wrap. It's longer than my arm span, though, the diameter of it. And so, I always get kind of nervous whenever it's super high winds and we have that. But they had this tree in their yard when he was a kid that they chopped down this tree and it was just this little tiny branch sticking out of the ground that was left over. And today, if you go over there, it's this giant cottonwood tree.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they cut it down, and so it's funny you were talking about all these trees and how they take forever because they have tons of trees on their property that when my grandfather got the property originally, it was like zero trees. So now they have tons of trees. And it's interesting to look back at the old photos where yes, they have zero trees and now they have tons of trees. And I even noticed that in the last year, some of the trees around us have grown extremely quickly. I don't know what it is, but they've just they had like a year where they doubled in size.
It's
And
a
so it was
tree
quite
jubilee.
fascinating. Yeah, quite fascinating.
Jubal tree. Well,
But then so anyway, there was that whole thing. But the thing really, I just kind of called in, and I think this is why you're asked me what I'm thankful for, sort of caught me off guard too, was I was calling in just to like give you guys a compliment for just doing the show. So I guess I'm thankful for you and Gons and what you do
yeah.
day and week.
Thank you. Thank you. It is weird, man. It's a weird. I really appreciate that. And we kind of say it tongue in cheek a little bit, but it's really not tongue in cheek, but it is kind of like, we'll kind of have to be corny about it, like the compliment each other game. But moral support, I think maybe in the economy of various, I don't know, communities. In this community, moral support is of a very high value. There's the what's the word? The foreign exchange rate of moral support is worth a lot in this community. So I appreciate you saying that, man.
Yes, because I know that it can't be easy to do what you do on a daily basis or the weekly basis. And I think for people, it's so easy to be like, well, just do this, just do that, or whatever, or even think that, oh, it's not that hard to, have a show or
Right.
talk on YouTube. But I think what they miss maybe is all the factors around doing the show.
Yeah.
It's more than what you just sitting here on a show and then talking. It's like the idea that this also is part of your livelihood, and anything you say may or may not affect your livelihood the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times even stuff you wouldn't even think, especially because everybody's coming and perceiving what I'm saying through the lens of their own thing. There'll be people who will, pull their support or something based on something I didn't even say, but just like something that they perceived. Like they think I have some, I don't know, position on something that is totally opposite. Anyway, I'll say this. I am fully aware that it's not digging ditches and it's not underwater welding. And I don't want to give the impression that, doing what we do is like, belongs on dirty jobs with whatever that guy's name is, Jeff Rowe, or
Mike
whatever. What did he say? Was it Mike Rowe? That's right. So I don't want to give that impression, but it's certainly. I'll say it's the hardest thing I've ever done, and it's also the longest thing that we've done. I mean, forget about doing it just day by day, but doing it for 14 years. It's I got nothing else. Gons posted it the other day. We are completely unemployable now, the two of us, which has the potential to put a little bit more pressure on everything. But honestly, I'm as life has turned out better than I think little Basil expected that it could. And I'm just very grateful for that. But it is a full-time job, like anybody who has their own business or something, or freelances or whatever. You're basically working 24 hours a day. But again, not digging ditches. If I had to dig ditches, I would dig ditches. But thank God he knows me and has given me a great gift to be able to do something else.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny you mentioned digging ditches. I did that when I was young, and that is not easy.
No, it is also not easy. Lots of things not easy in this world. Digging ditches, one of the not easiest things.
But yes, I just want to encourage you both that, and encourage you in the way too that I don't, because I do hear you sometimes say we're unemployable, but I think that we do need to remember that in God's kingdom, if we're serving him, I mean, who was Joseph, right? As some dude in a jail cell.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, things look pretty dire for his situation too.
Yeah.
So I think that I wanted to encourage you to remember that in his economy, we are always right where we need to be. But for us, that's where we're, you know, it's almost a blessing in some ways, I think, for us to actually be so dependent on him because otherwise we probably would get a big head and think, oh, I've got it made. I don't
Yep.
really need him on the daily basis.
Yep. No, totally. Yeah, it's a huge blessing to be totally dependent on him, because it's a tale as old as time. People who uh, who miss the point of their dependence and find that they are independent of any sort of holy grace always turns out bad. So
Yeah.
I,
But
that-
encourage you again, like I think that every day that you do this, be grateful and be willing to do it. But I think too, remember that if God says today's the last day you do it, then also that's okay. You're
yeah,
not letting anybody down
yeah,
because
amen.
he's the one who decided it.
Amen. That's a huge load off of anybody's shoulders. Again, remembering that it's all totally in God's hands, which is not an easy thing to remember when you're sitting there trying to figure out how to pay bills. We all understand that's a pretty tough one to figure out. But yeah, God bless you, buddy. I really appreciate that.
You're
That means
welcome,
a
and
lot.
God bless you and God's too, and your families.
Thanks, buddy. You too. Yeah, and I don't know if this is still an issue, but we're praying for you and your whole family as well. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes, my mom is doing much better. She actually, uh, I guess you would say she's in remission because there's no cancer detected. So
okay, good.
she's not
Amen.
doing any of that, not having
Praise
the
God.
chemo treatments. So it's all
Yeah,
great news.
that is all great news. Praise God, buddy. Really happy to hear that.
Thank you.
All right, man. I'll talk to you next time.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, praise God. Hey, what? That's amazing. Okay. I think it was a few months ago that we got the prayer request come in for his mother, and that's good. We got to remember to get these praise reports too. All right. Let's see. We had one more caller pop in to the thing, so we're going to do that. What are we at? Okay, we're about 2 hours. We got time. Let's do this. Let me reset this. And we've got Faye. Faye calling in from the Minnesota. How you doing, Faye?
Bro,
Bro,
what's up?
how you doing?
Good. Things are
Good.
good. I'm grateful
Yes.
for prayer. I'm grateful that prayer works. And that sometimes we don't see it work. But
Mhm.
I had this little epiphany that one day when we all get to the other side, we're going to see what all these prayers did. And it's going to be phenomenal.
That's incredible. I know. It's like going to be when you watch like some sort of movie or detective movie or something, and there's that montage at the end that shows you all the like little secret bits that you didn't notice or you didn't know, and just the whole thing suddenly makes sense. Really looking
Yeah.
forward to like the holy everything makes sense movie moment of the movie.
Yep, exactly.
Love it. Well, what else you got going on?
You want to talk about podcasts some more?
Sure. Let's
Okay,
talk about
so I woke up from a nap and then you were just talking about what was it? Like kind of what you brainstorming about retooling or
oh, it's talking about just kind of what in the heck, what direction does God want us to go in, and possibly rebooting up the Joyspiracy Theory podcast?
you know it's crazy.
Hmm.
Okay, so these podcasts, you got your Blurry Creatures, you got your confessionals. This Sean Ryan
Mhm.
is in my feed on YouTube all the time. I didn't ask for him. He's
Yep.
just in my feed all the time.
I know.
Anyways, like those kind of podcasts are taking off like mad. Like
Mhm.
mad. Here's the crazy thing is because I had started listening to Blurry Creatures, then I went back on a deep dive, a CCR deep dive. You had all those guests on like in 2013.
Yeah.
So once again, you guys are ahead of your time,
Yeah.
to like just too ahead of the time. So what can you do? You go back in time, rehash it, like, and
Oh, trust me, we are struggling with this. We're experiencing the same thing. Again, God bless, love what God's doing. Love that the messages and the authors and the research is getting out there. Super cool. But also, it looks like a lot of these podcasts are really having their time. And
they're
we're like, well,
going
okay.
crazy.
Okay. What's the deal? What do we got to do? We got to do just recast all, like re-podcast all of the podcasts we did for 14 years so people find it. I don't know. I mean, yes is the answer, I think, but we're struggling with it.
Yeah, because I've been brainstorming a format. I feel like I have stuff to contribute to the blogosphere. I just don't know which direction to take it. But also like the Mike Winger kind of thing where he's just answering questions and talking to the camera. But anyways, there's just, looking at what's trending, it seems like single topic shows based on topics honestly that you've been talking about this whole time.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that seem to be kicking off, and they have a clickbait thumbnail about the crazy topic. So I don't know. But
I'll say this. We have talked and we are trying so desperately to kind of build this system again to where we can, I mean, it definitely feels like us getting back to our core competency of these weekly interviews is like where we need to be, not in the spirit of whatever, trying to catch up or trying to emulate what the success of others. But that's
well,
because
you've already done it.
because that's our core competency, really, in the end. And there's, a lot of people who even never listen to news talk or don't listen to news talk, and they want the interviews again. So this is all very important. But there's another side of it, because the other side of it is it's much more than just doing the podcast now these days. And you pointed out a good example is the thumbnails. Now, the thumbnails, believe it or not, are a huge pain in the butt for us. Even just doing it for news talk, it's just like, it's kind of flippant. People will notice, unfortunately, the thumbnails of everything we do are not great. I mean, even for this podcast, I'm like, I got stuff to do. Okay. I got a podcast. I got to go live. I don't know what to do with the
crappier they are, though, especially with the kids. The kids love crappy
It's true
stuff.
But it feels like there's just something, and I don't know if it's because we're so old, like we've been doing it for so long, that we don't have the eye for what actually a good thumbnail is, like what people want to see, what's actually like, it's one of those things that's kind of pure data that we're kind of too old or old school, or maybe even some sort of, I don't know, negative thing about our attitude or something, that it's like we're unable to really conquer the question of thumbnail, or even naming episode titles is just like totally out of our, I don't know, our strengths or our whatever. Or maybe it's just like the time, we don't have the time for it. I don't know. But like, I feel like if God brought either someone or brought the knowledge or brought the time or brought some, it does feel like, and maybe this is a cope, it might be a cope, but it feels like if someone could just crack the thumbnail thing and the episode title thing for us, that we could at least, I don't know, try to gain some ground.
Well, yeah, because I would be in the exact same situation, because my overkill, like being a graphic designer, is cringe. like the stuff I would make would be cringe because it's, so I would have to, like, if, I could consult my 14-year-old, he would do a better job because
That's what we need. We need like a
you need a
alpha.
chat room for the 14-year-olds to come up with titles for you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we've been kind of ragging on some other podcasts, like not like good ones or whatever, but like major podcast, like Benny Johnson. What was the other one? I don't know. So some other big podcast.
Oh, like Tyler Oliveira. His are just the worst clickbaity thing, but he, has a good show.
And they were putting out employment requests, like they were doing call outs to like, hey, we're bringing someone on, and the whatever the requirements for the job were like, you got to be terminally online, you gotta know your memes, you gotta be like a degenerate, you gotta be these sorts of things. And it's of course a funny thing to laugh at, but I think in the end they're actually kind of right. Like if we were really gonna try to bring on someone, or maybe like you say, make a community of kids basically to like be there and make the thumbnail for us, that kind of is the vibe that you need to flourish in this environment.
Yeah, and it amazes me. And some of it, the worst it is, the better it does. Just scrolling through my feed, I'm like, the editing is nuts, and people love this. Just
Totally.
I don't know.
Totally. It's and we do like to, of course, we need to remember, Sir Darren just mentioned, I think we have to where to go, remember those folks get help from YouTube and X more than you know.
Yeah.
The fact that we're non-monetized really harms us because YouTube has no incentive to share the show, yeah,
and Monica, she just pointed out that like Blurry Creatures is monetized out the ears,
right?
And it's barely listenable anymore. It's so monetized, and same with Confessionals, honestly.
Yeah, I don't really listen to those guys, but I can understand. I mean, the guys that I do listen to are it's just impossible to listen to. You're pressing the skip button the whole time. Again, not that I don't understand. I understand people got to make money in the ways they got to make money. It's just not what we've chosen. But it's funny because, anyways, I don't know if I want to get into it, but I will say, like, over the years, there's a number of podcasts that either the hosts or maybe they've said it on their podcast. And one thing that gives us a lot of, gives us a lot of, comfort, maybe, encouragement, maybe, is a lot of the Christian fringe podcasts either have said in the past or people have mentioned that, they started their podcast, if not because, CanaryCry was doing what it was doing in 2012, but at least it was like an influence, and the thought that we could have some influence on people who are doing really good today, there's a little bit of satisfaction there.
I bought a lot of books based on guests that you had.
Hey.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm still a fan of Jay Dyer. You had him on really early.
Yeah, he's gone nuts too.
Yeah. That guy, he manages to get himself everywhere. He's got more energy than anyone, though. Like,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's again. Look, we've had some really, really encouraging people, even just one-on-one, just really encourage us that, God has his plans for us and he has his plans for the show. And, lots of people have said a lot of nice things about, what God has for us in the future. And we like to believe that. We do have faith that, that God has great things for us. But whatever it is, even if we never catch the wave of this thing, which would seem in the natural to be the wave that we would need to catch, You know, we're just so satisfied that God's given us the 14 years that He's given us. And you know, I wouldn't.
Well, you'll have a highlight reel too.
Well, there, yeah, just look. That's the one thing we all gotta look forward to, the heavenly highlight reel.
Yeah.
Let me think here. There's one other thing that came across my mind, and I'm looking for it. I'm reaching for it. It's not coming back, so I'm going to move on, and it'll come back when the time comes. Did you say you were a designer? Is that what you said, or you're not a designer?
Well, I was. And a few years ago, I was doing. Well, I got into animation. Do you remember that? I made you guys some animations.
Oh, you did. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Faye. That didn't even. I am so absent-minded. It did not even occur to me until you just said that you were the Faye who did all the animations for us. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Oh no. Wow.
Yeah, and I was doing the Clips channel for a while too, and then some family stuff happened, but man, that Clips channel was toil.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, had to let go of that.
I know. We all did. It was just absolutely, I don't know. Again, somebody needs to get paid to do that work, because it is, like you said.
Well, would it even be worth it? Because like I think the average views for the clips was like, you know, under 100
Abysmal.
people. Yeah. So it was like, okay, this.
That's the other thing. Look, if we're talking shop, like that's an example of what we saw other shows doing. And we go, okay, other shows do that. Sounds like we need to do that. And so we did it, and a lot of producers put a lot of energy into making that happen. And it's just one example, one particularly stark example of the pattern of us being like, well, other people are doing it and it's working for them. And we try to make it happen. Everybody puts a lot of energy, and it just doesn't work. And I don't know. It's almost like supernatural in the way that whenever we think we're about to get clever, you know, like we think we're going to beat the system or whatever, it never ends up happening the way that everybody says it would. So, I mean, another example of how we are just purely by the grace of God able to do what we're doing.
Well, and then, you know, like Sir Darren pointed out, people have whole entire teams doing this, and the time it took is anybody posting to social media right now? Because I was doing social media clips for a while.
No, nobody's doing it right now.
The crazy amount of time it took to just make an Instagram clip, you know, an under 1 minute Instagram clip.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And
it takes an hour. If you're going fast, it takes
you're going fast and you already know what you're looking for. And then, you know, you put the, and also I was aware of the fact, I'm like, oh, I'm trying too hard to make this look nice.
I remember we had this conversation, and I shared this with everybody who was trying to help with us. And I only shared it because I had gone through it before, which is when you're trying to take a piece of the show and you're trying to put it as a clip on thing, especially if you have a designer's mind, you know, like you do, you are trying to make it look as best it can. You're trying to make all the lines clean and make all the text all good, and you spend a lot of energy on it, and it just has absolutely zero bearing on how it performs. Zero bearing on how it performs. And it's really frustrating. Yeah.
Well, and it was frustrating also because like there was some really good, like funny clips. Like there was one where the cats were jumping all over your head, and I was like, okay, this one's going to do great.
Yeah.
And, you know, it did the same as the rest of them. Like,
and it was
cats jumping all over the head. That one should have been fantastic.
It was a brilliant edit too. Like the edit, all the work you put into it, it was like a brilliant edit. And yeah, it just is what it is. Now, maybe is it because we didn't monetize the clips channel? Maybe. Honestly, sometimes I think, do we just need to like scrap all the channels, or not delete them, but just leave them alone and like start a whole new channel? Because all of our channels now have permanent records. They have multiple bannings, they have multiple strikes. And I mean, even with the Face Like the Sun channel, which there are a couple people watching live right now, there's over a quarter million followers on the Face Like the Sun channel, and basically just nobody sees it, because the subscribe thing is no longer the game. It's a totally different game. Nothing like the amount of subscribers you have has, again, basically zero bearing on how well your videos do. And so, yeah, sometimes I'm like, are we just so black marked that would it be more efficient for us to just start? Like, we would have to get, and this is how detailed it gets, we couldn't start a channel on our same IP addresses because it would connect us to our old band channels. And I'm thinking we also couldn't start a channel with the same device codes of our computers, because our device codes are connected with the previous band channels. So it's like we would need to purchase a brand new computer and a brand new Starlink, like a whole new internet connection, to start a channel that like was clean and had no connection to us.
But then you're starting a channel that's, then you're,
and and you couldn't, and I couldn't, we couldn't log on to that account from one of our past computers. We'd have to throw all of our computers in the trash, get brand new computers, brand new internet connections, and then never touch those channels with our old devices. I mean, that's how like frazzled I am about this.
So even though you got Face Like the Sun back and your channel's back, it wasn't like there was a great forgiveness. It was just like, here's your channels back.
Nope.
Okay.
Totally shadow banned.
Yeah, even though those were unjust strikes. And okay.
Yeah, and I don't know either. Like, other people got their channels back and they went right back to the numbers that they started with. I really don't know why. I really don't know why. There's a lot of really high profile people. Again, is it because their channel's monetized? Probably. Like, that probably has a huge thing to do with it.
Well, Gons follows James Corbett. Do you pay attention to that guy?
A little bit. I'm aware of him.
That guy, he swore and cussed and said, I don't think he cussed, but he said he was never coming back to YouTube. And, when all of you guys got kicked off, he got kicked off too.
Yeah.
And then when he got his channel forgiveness, he was like, I'm in a conundrum because all of you people only watch YouTube.
Yeah.
And if I put videos up, you guys watch them. So he went back and he, like, you could see the angst because he still hates YouTube. But like, his numbers just bounced back. So I don't know. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Honestly, it feels targeted. Who knows? Again, we could have all sorts of theories about, the spiritual take on it. That we talk about God too much or something, but that's like pretty popular now too. We really cannot pinpoint exactly what it is that's keeping us down. The only thing that we can identify is the monetization of the channel. If we just press the button and say, okay, YouTube, you can show ads on these videos, and it's a real conundrum because it's like the one thing that we've really stood for so long.
Have you talked to Aaron and Melissa Dykes?
Yeah.
They don't monetize either. Like, are they? I don't know how their numbers are, but they're still grinding.
Yeah, they kind of have a little bit of a different thing going on. But they're doing pretty good. I mean, want to talk about their business too much. I think that they would like to have a little less friction for themselves as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a little bit more. They don't do like lives. They're in my opinion, in one thing I love about them is their I don't know really a way to say it, but they're like very artsy. Like they make
They're
art.
filmmakers, yeah.
They are filmmakers who make art, right? And they
Yeah.
make films. And so it's a little bit of a different thing. But I hope they're doing good. I don't know necessarily their business. But yeah, no, I it's funny because I do consider them peers and friends, but I don't know if our I guess style is like even comparable, like if we could compare them necessarily. Which in a way I'm actually kind of jealous. Like sometimes I wish that I was like a cool filmmaker in that way.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I think about like, a style to go in, and they work too hard. Like honestly, I couldn't do what they do because
Nope.
it would be too much work.
No way, Jose.
Yeah.
It was a few months ago. I had a call with Mel, and we talked for a long time. And I'm just, I'm getting a feel for what exactly she goes through to like make these things. And I'm just like, God bless you, Mel. I don't know how you do it. I certainly couldn't do what they do. In fact, I should reach out and say hi to them because they are working on pretty big project. But yeah. Oh yeah, they got their their views are great. Yeah, they're getting
good.
70,000 views, 60,000. Looks like their average is around 60 recently at least. Yeah, but yeah, they do a full 50-minute film, hour and 15-minute film, hour and a half film, a couple of shorter ones, but most of it is and gosh, their research is insane too. They're going everywhere. They're like in the Masonic lodges. They're they don't use, I don't know if they use zero stock photography, but they're doing all their own shots.
Well, they traveled across the country just doing B-roll.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's just they're always on.
Yeah.
They're always thinking about it. And you are too, but like they're traveling around. They went to Montauk with their cameras.
They went to Europe, I think, for this project that they're working on. And I think, a lot of it was just to like, they're even like a little bit more journalists as well. Like they're going to this place. I don't know how much should say, but they go to this place, they meet this person, they interview them and get access to this secret library where they go and they like get all these documents, and then they come and they put it all together. It's really impressive. I'm happy for them, and they deserve all the views. At this point, the thing I have to fight is being like, oh yeah, we get the views we deserve. That's okay, But the fun part is that God. The fun part is that through the producers and through the Value for Value model, we're still here, baby. No advertisements, no views, no nothing. And we're still here. We're able to keep going, right? And I have called it blue collar podcasting before because that's kind of how it feels. We're not rolling in the dough or like really have any real sort of fame. But we show up to work and we get the job done. We show up, we get the job done. We show up the next time, get the job done again.
Well, and yeah, in the picking and the choosing of who I want to support with a membership or whatever, I was thinking about what I gravitate to, and I was like, I support all of the people that interact with the viewers.
Yeah.
Because there's some people who just don't. They, do their podcast and say, they're like, come to our Discord, and they never come to the Discord.
Right.
Well, there's some people, and everybody does it in a kind of different way, but I've always felt that you guys were on some level, interactive
Yeah.
with your viewers, and that means, that means a lot to me.
Yeah. Means a lot to us too.
It edges you out over, the monetized people. I'm like, they don't need my money so much. They're monetized.
Yeah, and the community aspects of, again, which I give all glory to God that we have such great people who are gravitated to actually being involved and actually calling in and actually producing in all the different ways that they do. I've told this story before, but I met this extremely famous Australian podcaster. And I didn't know he was famous. I just met him. He was a cool guy. We got along. We were buddies. For a couple days, we just happened to be in the same area. And he never really asked what I did. I never really asked what he did. Didn't really think about it. And then a couple days in, the topic came up. He's like, "Oh, yeah, well, this is me. I have a podcast." I'm like, "You have a podcast? Oh my gosh, cool. What's your podcast?" And I look it up right there, and I'm not going to give it away, but it is just, it's crazy. I mean, it's like almost like Joe Rogan status podcast.
Okay.
And I go, "Oh my gosh, dude." And he's like, "Yeah, what about you?" I'm like, "Oh, I also do a podcast."
Oh no.
Like, "Oh, really? Let me see it." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, we've been doing it for a long time." And it's one of these stories where he started in like 24 or something.
Yeah.
It was like a meteoric rise. And I'm like, "Yeah, here it is." And he's looking at it. He goes, "Oh, wow, you guys are kind of crazy." I go, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you go back really far." Like, "Yeah, we started in 2012. And you could tell it was almost like I felt we're about the same age, but I just felt so generationally distant from him because we're like two totally different experiences of the thing. But then I started telling him about the value for value model and how we keep it going, how we made it 14 years. I start telling him about the producers who like make art for us and make music. We have all this custom music and art, and people just support the show. We don't sell anything. We don't whatever. It's value for value. So they really got to give value, or else it's blah blah blah. And I start telling him this, and he's just like, "Oh my gosh, dude, that's what I want. That's incredible. I gotta figure out more ways to blah blah blah." I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. This guy who, by any account, living the dream, right? Living the podcaster dream. I mean, talking to the most famous people, having the biggest sponsors in the world, all this kind of stuff, and also doing what he loves, right? The format is like, he's good at it. He does what he loves. And he was just like, it was really interesting to hear him be like, "Wow, how can I do that? Give me some tips. How do you even?" I feel so distant. Like, he feels so distant from his viewers. Like, his viewers aren't even viewers. Like, they're just numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers on the screen. So in our case, numbers on the screen don't pay the bills, which is part of the like disconnect. It's part of the like, in the way that I rant about all the time, this like real rebellion against how the system wants us to work, to where we can have fairly small numbers in comparison to other huge podcasts, and yet have this fulfillment and still be able to exist and exist what's the word, pretty reliably. We're not necessarily missing the mortgage every month or something, but blue collar, making it happen. But yeah, it's just made me really grateful. And the funny part is I gave him some tips on how to do that, and he did it. He's done a great job, and he has an amazing way of getting people involved. He's still very advertiser based and still doing the thing, but I haven't talked to him in a while, but I really hope he's kind of getting that fulfillment that we feel, that have that connection.
So you're out here in the background, just inspiring people.
Dude, God brings the weirdest people. I mean, I don't, obviously I'm very private, so I don't share a lot of stuff, and I barely share anything of other people. But gosh, if one of these days, if God really gave me the permission to like list these radical, like crazy encounters that he's given me with like just like full on celebrities, like full on, and it's not about celebrity. It's just about big people, sort of like historic, quote unquote, in the kind of annoying, modern sense, just like big popular people. And it's funny because I was talking to another buddy about this, and he was talking about how he's having a hard time and how he feels like he gets a lot of opportunities and they all pass him by, right? Like God's bringing all these opportunities to him, and he has the feeling that no matter how hard he tries to like take advantage of these opportunities, they all pass him by, and it's really frustrating. And I'm like, bro, I totally identify with that. Because there's been a number, this Australian podcaster is a good example where like, I meet him, I make friends with him, we make kind of a deep connection. I help him find the fulfillment, and the sort of storyline, the Hollywood storyline of that would be then he, whatever, tells everybody about me or brings me on and like hypes me up, or like, I get some sort of measurable whatever internet reward for like meeting this guy, but it's really interesting how God, I'm so grateful he's brought me in contact with so many just crazy people I would never thought I would get the chance to meet, and that's pretty much it. Like I get to speak into their lives a little bit. I get to learn a little bit about them, and and that's kind of it, and maybe it's because maybe because I don't ask anything from these people, that just feels weird to me. It just feels gross. It feels like what's the word? Feels like a betrayal maybe of a sort of authentic connection with these people. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm just like maybe I'm holding myself back from, asking things of people. But whatever it is, it's just been a really weird life. Really weird, cool life.
Well, you know what they say. If you ask not, you have not, or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's something that you do need to remember, and that you could be an emu baron and have, just the corner of the emu market.
That's what I'm shooting
in
for.
The corner of the country. So there's that.
It's very
not
quickly.
everybody can say they're an emu baron.
That's true, and we got to learn what's really important in life, and like every parent out there has learned, once you hold your child in your arms, all your other goals and striving and worries melt away because you're looking at your legacy right in their big blue eyes. And that's what it was like hatching my very first emu. We're on day 52 today of the next 7 eggs. So how it was
That's a lot of eggs.
The last time around, there was 8 eggs in there, and I was counting down the days, and I was talking about it on the show, and I was saying, 3 more days, 2 more days, the last time I talked with you guys. And then just the schedule was just totally wonky. I have no idea what these little guys are doing in those eggs. They come out, they don't come out, they come out whenever they want. So I'm not counting my emus before they hatch. But we'll see. We'll see next Thursday. We might have some more little babies. Too many little babies, maybe. Got to figure out what to do with all these little babies.
Well, that might not be the fun part, but
We'll find them good homes, or I'll just, I'll just set them free.
well, I remember when you
Population.
told the story about getting the first emus, and I was like, oh my gosh, Basil got himself into an emu pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Those people were just looking to unload some emus.
I just gotta find some other suckers that I can put into the emu game. Well, you got something else on your mind there, Faye?
No, I was just thinking those Renaissance fair turkey legs. Somebody said those are emus.
I may have been the one to say that. It is true. There is a market out there. The market does exist. All I got to do is meet some Renaissance fair, coordinators so they could source their emu legs from me. But we'll see.
Emus.
All in God's timing. Well, Faye, it's been so lovely talking to you. Thanks for hanging out and giving me the opportunity to get into the business, as they say. I think it's I enjoy the opportunity to talk about this kind of stuff with the community because, not that we're trying to act like anything is different. I enjoy the opportunity to be vulnerable with all the listeners like this. And for nothing else than if everybody knows how to pray for us.
Well, exactly. Yep. We'll all put our collective prayers and brain cells together, and
all in God's timing.
Yep.
We're just having a fun time along the way. So God bless you, Faye. Thank you for calling in. Really appreciate talking to you again. Glad things are smoothed over there a little bit, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Kinda.
I think seeing it on the news, then nothing's happening.
Yeah, we can talk about how all that stuff was a distraction from other stuff that So that'll be another day.
All right, you can give us the update next time.
Okay.
All right. God bless you, Faye. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Talk to you next time. Booyah. Yes, Sir Darren in the chat says we pray that the shadow ban be lifted. I seriously think that it's just the monetization thing. And I could see how somebody might think like, no, that's too simple, but I really don't get it. We're not doing anything that anybody else isn't doing besides the monetization. And, of course, there's the question of the spiritual aspect, but, everybody's talking about God now. I don't know, we'll only know in the heavenly recap what the actual skinny was on all that. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get a new computer with a new Starlink, start a brand new channel, and maybe just also stream to that. Although they would connect that too. They would make the connection. I don't know. Well, maybe it doesn't matter. We do have a channel that we did get back during the forgiveness period that we currently don't do anything with. You'll know we have the CanaryCry News Talk YouTube, and we have the Face Like the Sun YouTube that we go to. We also got the CanaryCry Radio YouTube back, but we haven't done anything with it. And so I wonder if we monetized one of these channels, that would be the experiment. The experiment would be keep everything the same, but stream to one more channel, which is easy. Doesn't do anything. It's just a button you press. And then monetize that channel and see if anything's different. That might be the experiment. And I don't know. I can only call it an experiment. Who knows? Somebody's asking for the link. Drop the link. Here's the link. It's just the old CanaryCry Radio channel, youtube.com/@CanaryCry Radio. You can see exactly. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Oh, looks like we did. What did we do? Yeah, 4 years ago, 11 months ago. It looks like right when we got it back, about a year ago, we streamed one video, one episode, and then we uploaded a what exactly happened to the CanaryCry Radio YouTube channel, like an explainer. In fact, why don't I just put this up on the screen for you? Share screen. This one. Here you go. Put it up on the thing. Here you go. All right, so here it is. Let me see if I can do this so you can see it. There we go. Here it is, the CanaryCry Radio YouTube channel. We posted this video, what exactly happened to the CanaryCry Radio YouTube channel, don't miss out, 10 months ago. Right, apparently a month before that, we streamed one news talk episode to not great views. And then the next one is 4 years ago, which that doesn't actually seem right. That ticker has to about to change to 5 years. And you can see all these old episodes here. Yeah. All right. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. I'll talk to Guns. Maybe just as an experiment, we'll monetize that one channel. See if they push it. See if they push it. See if anybody catches on. I don't know. It is weird though. Everything's weird. All right, everybody. I think that's it for today. I think we did it. I think we covered so many things. Not gonna lie, I was planning on trying to make this one a really, really short one. But you know how that goes. Whenever we think we're going to make it a short one, that's when things really go off rails. God takes over, things happen. Hope you enjoyed this episode. CanaryCry Clubhouse. Let's see, we are on value for value. So if you get any value from this show, you can go to canarycry.support. Support us there. It's the only way we exist. Someday, possibly, people will have the opportunity that they've been begging for to watch the show on a monetized YouTube channel so they can watch ads. They can serve the show by watching ads. That's that. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Yep, value for value. Go to CanaryCry.support, support the show. Other than that, we'll be back on Monday with another CanaryCry News Talk right here, right now. Well, Monday. And until then, think outside the cage.